Yeah, the opportunity is there, but thus far that hasn't happened. And I believe that if we can go to a system that, again, decreases our costs, would be more valuable to the city of Detroit at this point than to look for a potential of what may happen if we continue to have that investment pool there. But thus far, we found that that hasn't happened. We lost several hundreds of millions of dollars last year from our pension fund because of investment choices. And that's happened to everyone, so that's not unique to the city of Detroit. But what we can do is take some of the people that we do have the investments with and allow and ask them to be good corporate citizens and invest in certain areas of the city of Detroit. For example, cleaning up of Belle Isle, maybe adopt that as a park. Also maybe doing some things in the neighborhoods like taking on one of the recreation centers and taking on the cost of reopening that and keeping that sustained. So there's a lot of areas I think we can ask our corporate citizens to step up and become part of a partnership with the community and the city of Detroit government. Well, being a small business owner, that's very important to me, because what we sometimes find out is it's not always city-based companies, or what you get are shadow companies where they may have a small office in the city of Detroit, but their main office is somewhere else. One thing we need to do, obviously, is do our homework a little bit more in terms of who we give these contracts to. I believe that 51% is fair. I wouldn't mind going higher with that, but I think that's fair, because at times you find that companies who aren't based in the city can do certain work. Now, well, of course, what I would encourage as a city council member and just as a business person in general is that if someone wants to do business here in the city, that they invest in the city. Either they have a regional office in the city and not just a shell office that has a desk and a phone that gets forwarded on to a main office, but an actual presence here in the city of Detroit. As well as, again, I'll go back to being good corporate citizens, as being part of the community. If you're going to make your money from the tax dollars that the community pays to the city of Detroit, then I would hope that those corporations who did work here in the city could be good corporate citizens and invest in the city also. There's a couple. There's two I'd point out right away. One is council by district, which I'm highly in favor of, and in fact I'm the only city council candidate that joined off the League of Women Voters early this year, probably in January rather, where I actually joined their communications committee to help push for council by district, and we've been successful. It's on the ballot now, and I really believe it'll pass. Now, with council by district, Detroit being one of the top 11 cities, and out of the top 11 cities, we're the only one that doesn't have council by ward or district, where we have individual representations of certain areas of the city of Detroit. I think it's very important that areas who have been neglected or feel as though they've been neglected in the past have someone to represent them at the table. You'll hear a lot from Southwest Detroit and communities on the DP side who feel as though they're underrepresented at the table. And I believe with council by district, they'll have someone they can point to who will fight for their area. Secondly, being someone who's run for office since November of last year, and running the entire 140 square miles of the city of Detroit, it would cost a lot less for those of us running for office, and we could go door to door 3 or 4 times in our district to meet everyone in our district. They would get to know us, we would get to know the people who live in the district, and they could pinpoint a person who's responsible. So you wouldn't have to make 9 phone calls. If your street lights are out, you can make 1 phone call to Fred Elliot Hall and say, look, our street lights are on our particular block, you represent us, you're from our area, and we want to see some results. And if they don't return those results, they know exactly who to vote out of office. Right now you have a large demand for people saying we want to vote everyone out of office. But as opposed to having to do that, you would have 1 person to represent that one area. I think that's very important. And also having a few elected at large, I believe, is important, because at one point Detroit did have council by ward up to about 1918, 1920, and because of a variety of factors that included not only corruption but racism, they changed the council by district, council by at large rather. So I really believe that what is old is new again, and I think we'll do it better this time by having a few elected at large. That'll decrease the opportunity for corruption. We have some people who will realize that they're voted by the entire city of Detroit, but will still have to represent the entire city and not just a certain area. Secondly, being able to remove someone from office if they're convicted of a crime, I believe is very important, and I think that's why we have a big push right now to have the charter revised. With everything that went on with our prior mayor of the Kilpatrick administration, and then having to go through another election that cost the taxpayers again several millions of dollars. We need to have a more clear-cut way to be able to remove someone who's in office from office if they're convicted of a crime. So I really believe this time the charter is going to be very clear on what has to be done in that case. Well, if it's done effectively, we would hope that everyone would work together. There's always that competition. Even among the current council candidates now who are at large, you still see competition for them getting their types of programs passed. I really believe that if we're all working together towards seeing Detroit do well, we'll get beyond the petty arguments that have actually been part of our city council the past few years. There's a lot of good people running right now who really have Detroit's best interest at heart, and we can no longer afford to have the type of arguments that we've had in the past. Detroit is in a crisis situation right now. It's going to take cooperation not only between the members of the city council and the mayor, but also between the region. Macomb, Wayne, and Oakland, as well as the city of Detroit, are going to have to find ways to cooperate, and so that we can bring the entire region up. In terms of the mayor having more power, I do agree that the Charter Commission is going to have to revise the type of powers that the City Council has. We go to a district system. Right now, if I brought up the example of streetlights. If the streetlights go out in a certain area and the council member receives a call from one of their constituents, they still have to call the mayor's office and hope the mayor's office calls the department head of the lighting department to actually get something done about that. So we need to change that system. What I'd like to see happen is the council have oversight over who is actually appointed. If the mayor appoints someone, then the council should have a nay or yay vote over that person actually being elected to actually being assigned to that particular position. In the same way that the Congress has over the president. When the president appoints someone, Congress does have oversight over whether that appointment is going to be valid or not, and they do get to vet whoever is actually put in a certain position, and I believe the City Council should have that same right. I don't believe the City Council should have the ability to always call department heads with all their individual projects, because then they'll have 9 different council people calling on them to do different things in their area. But I do believe if they can be part of the process in terms of approving who can actually head those departments, they'll see that they'll have an opportunity to not only vet them, but have an opportunity to get to know that person and have some form of oversight of that department, although I don't believe they should be able to call each department head in whenever they have their own individual problem that they need to deal with.